Here's my good-looking legs. I'm dancing.
So good.
You know, I look back now and I think, wow, I've really had a great life so far. So, life goes on.
Yeah.
I'm going to take every bit of it I can.
Cheers
To the ducks.
to the ducks.
I'll just do that. Am I pretty enough, guys?
Of course.
Okay. Okay. Now, what do you want to know? I was not born in a hospital.
That's
I was
correct.
born on the kitchen table. And now it's exciting. You ever go to North Dakota? Well, that's where I'm from. We did have a farm at one time. And then we moved to the town of Dickinson. And then I lived there all the time until I got married. Then I moved here. Had a lot of soup. A lot of soup. I'll tell you what, I had a good mom and a good dad and good brothers and sister, and we were very close. But I had, Orville, Ted, Vern, and Bert. I had 4 brothers before I was born. And then I had a sister and a brother after I was born. Yeah, tomboy. I was always a tomboy. Always. Enjoyed every minute of it. We had a neighborhood of kids, and we played together. At night we played kick the can. Can you imagine what that is? All I know is we kicked the can. They would try to get it before we would get it. We had a school right across the street from where we lived. And they would go out in the evening and walk in groups of 2 or 3. And I was young enough that I would walk with them. And I thought that was the biggest deal. I enjoyed walking with them, and they enjoyed having me with them.
Oh.
But I was young. But I lived only a couple blocks from the high school, and a couple blocks, almost 2, 3, 4 blocks to a church, and about a block from downtown. So I lived in a section that was, a lot of things going on. I loved it. Dickinson,
North Dakota.
Dickinson, North Dakota. Good family town. My dad was a car salesman. He was a very hard-working man. And my mother, she worked at J. Spence. And it's funny, because later on in my life, I worked for pennies too. We were young. And all of my brothers were in the service at that time. I was the oldest one home. Myself, Peggy, and my sister, and my brother, my young brother. Yeah, that's a lot of boys to be in a war for one family. And you never knew from one day to the next day if they were coming back. It was tough. They were all in the Air Force except for Bert. Bert was in the infantry. And he was the youngest one. Vernon was the only one that was captured. They notified us that he had been captured. And that was pretty hard to take. By the time he came home, I was just flabbergasted and amazed at what he looked like. I mean, I hardly recognized him when he came home. I can't imagine what he went through. I always felt so sorry for my mother. She was difficult for her. And it was difficult for me because it was difficult for her. You know how that goes. When my brother came home from after being imprisoned over there, it was funny because Vernon happened to be on the same boat that Bert was. And he looked up and Vernon looked down. And he was so excited, he recognized him right away. And they got together right away. And that was pretty special. Yeah. And they were both on their way home. Yeah, they were very, very special. Thank God they all came back. At that time, I was the oldest one home. And so I kind of took charge. Yeah, I did. Yeah, during the war, it was a different life. In my life and everybody else's. There were a lot of restrictions because, believe it or not, what went into nylons in the war, they needed that. So at that time, you didn't get nylons anymore. What you got was a cream or something, and you would put that on your legs instead. So it looked like you had socks on, but you really didn't. Yeah. They just didn't let us have them. That was it. They needed it for the war. A lot of women went to work because the men were gone. You know, they were all in the service. I worked for the JCPenney company, and I was up in the office. Yeah, see, at that time in JCPenney, they had the chains from the office, which was up, and you were down here. And so you would pull this, put money in the cup, pull the string, and it would send it up to them. They'd take the money out of it and do whatever and send the cup back to me. That's the way it worked at JCPenney Company at that time. And I loved my job, and I did a good job there. And I made a pretty good sum when I was young. He was my boyfriend. I think he liked me a lot. I mean, he just idolized me. I knew him through Bert, my brother Bert. Let's see, Bert played the violin, and they got together through music. And I thought, oh, he's a nice looking man. And that's it. I didn't think anything else. But it didn't happen differently. I was also a cheerleader for all 4 years. And he kind of thought that was pretty nifty. And so I started going with him when he was a senior. Here I was, this freshman going with a senior. That was unheard of in that day. Times change. It was fun. I loved every minute of it. Did I get mail from him? Rarely. But I would write to him all the time because I knew that it was important for him to get some mail and hear from somebody that he knows. He was in the Navy, and so I never knew where he was. Then when he came home, of course, see, between the time he went, I probably had 2, 3 boyfriends in between, you know. When he came home, that stopped just like that. Yeah. He would never take me to his home and introduce me. He only had a mother left. And so while he was gone, I went there myself. And I knocked on the door and I said, "Mrs. Hehn, I'm LaDonna Berta." And she said, "Oh, I know who you are." And I thought, "Oh, me." So anyway, she invited me in and we visited, and I got to know her the very first time. And it was nice to be able to talk to her about her son. I was 21 when I married. And I always said I wanted at least 2 children, but no more than 4. And so when I had my 4th one, I said, "Okay, Eddie, that's it." And that was it. And I loved every minute of it. Yeah, he was a good husband. He was kind of a handsome dude, too.
That's quite a long time to be married.
Yeah, it is.
How was it?
Nice.
Nice?
He was a good man. He was a smart man. He was a good father. Very good father. That was important to me. I think that both Eddie and I were very good in handling our children. We didn't give them everything in the world. But they had to earn some things too. But they had to be honest. That was very important to us. You gotta be honest. And even if it's bad, it doesn't mean that it's gonna be bad all the time. And it doesn't mean that you can't get better than bad. And then they realize that we trust them. And they know we trust them. And therefore, they're being darn good citizens. Yeah. And I'm really proud of them. Yeah. Well, one thing, we were always open and honest with one another. And I thought that was really important. He was a disciplinarian, I'll say. And sometimes that's not very helpful. And it's kind of tough to live with somebody like that sometimes. But he was a good man. But when they call, we go. And it can be at midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning, we go. And then we take charge. And from that point on, that's what we are. We're in charge of everything on the fire. The way we're there 1 minute and the next one, everything's up, going, running, and everything. It's amazing. It's usually about a 30-person team, 30 people. And we are really very good in everything we do because we're special in that. We're specialists. Transportation, food, gas, oil, just everything on a fire we handle. So everything is provided and we've got all the rules and regulations taken care of. Yeah, it was a kind of a fun time for me. I loved it, and I did a good job for them. Yeah. And I made good money. We were the money people. And we paid the bills, and we got the money also. So it was, my job was money on every fire I went to. But it was on a Class 1 team, which is the top team of the Forest Service. So I had a lot of power up there on that #1 team. I mean, I wanted to be sure everything balanced out, everything was paid like it was supposed to be, and that kind of thing. I make sure that we have the safety there, medical there. That's important. If there's a major problem, I'm usually involved in it and help them solve it. Yeah, because we didn't have an 8-hour day. You never knew what was going to happen, you know. These people are out there in the field fighting the fire, and you don't know, a lot of them get hurt. And somebody's got to take charge of that and be sure they get to where they got to go. And you earned your living there because you were kind of the protector over all the fields out in the field. I mean, people out in the fields. You know, they get in an accident, we're responsible for that. To take care of them, get them to the hospital, do whatever you have to do it. Don't just stand there and think about it. You gotta move. The first time I ever did it, I thought, what is this? I learned that you need to learn everything. I learned that people are really important. I learned that that it's important for you to be honest and to be open with yourself. You're no better than the next guy. You learn to be more caring and more understanding, and you listen better than you listen normally. You respect each other. I'll tell you, the one thing I've always learned is if you get into anything, learn what the rules are. That was the most important thing I ever did, was to learn all the rules. And when they said, you can't do that, and I said, oh, really? Show me. And they didn't like that. That was funny. They would tell me something, and I'd listen to them, and then I'd say, no, you're wrong. And I didn't care if they were up here or if they were down here. Didn't matter to me. Wrong is wrong. I had a lot of good workers that worked with me, and we came up with a lot of changes that we saw that should have been improved upon and better. And I think because of us, it's a lot better now than it used to be. Yeah. Yeah, I had a fun job. Fun job. They thought that you just come and go in. No, you don't do that on a fire. Well, normally people can't get into our camps. Yeah, they came and I showed them. I took them through the camp. I showed them where we eat, how everything is done on a fire. Yeah, that surprised me when they showed up. I said, How did you get in here? Yeah. Yeah, it was nice to see him. I just go out and sit on the lanai and look at the moon and listen to the water, and actually I just kind of dive right into it. And it's the most wonderful feeling. I don't think about anything. I don't worry about it. I don't worry about anything anymore. I like the part that I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. I can just lay around all day out in the countryside or out in the water or out in the whatever. Stephanie, when she comes, she's the cook. I don't touch that area at all. She's my cook. That's my second home now. And I have a lot of friends over there too. And so in the morning, we have coffee. Everybody that we know comes together and we have coffee in the morning. And then we go our separate ways. I just let go of the leash and let them do. And they came through for me. And so that was a highlight of my life, was to know that my children know a lot of right from wrong. Yeah. So that's important. They came out really good. They're all nice. They got a brain in their head. They've done good deeds. I'm proud that all my children are decent, basically very honest. They are givers. And I think that comes from my husband. Honesty is very important. Being true to yourself is important. Sharing is important. Being trustworthy is important. Do what makes you happy. Cherish your friends. You know, if somebody's not doing the right thing, all you have to do is talk to them about it and tell them why, so they understand. And then from that point on, it seems to improve. I like people. I don't care who they are or what they are. Doesn't matter. I'm a people person. That's what I say. I'm a people person. If somebody needed help, I'd be there. And that's just the way I am. That's the way I grew up, and that's what I am. Because it's important. You're not the most important person in the world. There are other people that are important, but they don't have any. So you want to do what you can to help. I've always been confident. I've always considered myself brainy. I have a good brain. I've always used it. It's always paid off. And so I'm not trying to brag, but that's just a fact. I knew what I could do. I knew what was expected of me. And I knew if I couldn't handle it, I would see that somebody could. Yes, that's true. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I admit it.
So
I always have.
turn the music on.
Yeah, oh, you bet. Yeah, I like to do that. I don't need a partner. I can dance by myself. Oh,
You made having fun a priority, no
Yeah.
matter what you were doing.
I've had a great life.
Yeah.
Great life, and I'm having a great life now.
Yeah.
I come and go as I please. I have a lot of fun. I play in some bridge clubs. I love life. I love life. I think I did pretty good. Boy, time goes fast, though, Stephanie, when I go back and start thinking about these things. Wow. I've done a lot of things in my life that I've forgotten, and now they're coming back to remembering. You too. And I enjoy them. I mean, I think, did I really do that? I guess I did. That's my life.